All right, today we're going to be talking about 1.4, solving linear inequalities. Solving linear inequalities is just like solving equations. The only difference is instead of an equal sign, you have an inequality sign. And if you multiply or divide by a negative, you have to flip the inequality sign. So that is super important and easy to forget. So let's underline it. You need to multiply or divide by a negative. You have to flip the sign, flip the inequality sign. So we have 4 inequality signs to choose from. We have less than, we have greater than, we have less than or equal to, right, less or equal, and we have greater than or equal to. Okay. Those are our 4 choices. So here we have negative 2x plus 3 is greater than or equal to 13. Oh, oops. So to solve that just like an equation, you can draw your line here if it helps. If it doesn't help, then don't draw it. But we need to find our x. Here's our x. We need to get rid of the plus 3. To get rid of the plus 3, we subtract 3. Now we're left with negative 2x is greater than or equal to 10. And then to solve, because this is multiplication, I have to divide. So I'm going to divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. The only thing is, because I divided by a negative, I need to flip my sign. So I have x is less than or equal to negative 5. That's my final answer. We also need to know how to graph this. So to graph it, we're going to draw a number line. And we need to make sure negative 5 is on it. So maybe I'm going to go negative 6, negative 5, negative 4. Oh. All right, so we need to know whether or not we need an open or closed circle. So let's make a note. If we have less than or greater than, we want an open circle. If we have less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to, we want a closed circle. Because it could be equal to that point. So we need to shade it in saying it could be there. Here, it's not actually at that point, so we need an open circle. Okay, so these are our 2 options. In this case, we have the or equal to part, so we need a closed circle at negative 5. And then we want x is less than or equal to, so since it's less than, we're going to go to the left. As long as x is first, as long as x is on the left, you can just follow which way the inequality sign points. This is pointing in the left direction, so we're going to go to the left. All right, let's look at a compound inequality. So here's a compound inequality here. When we say it's a compound and, because this says that 5x plus 2 is greater than negative 23. Sorry, negative 23, and it's less than 17. So now, just like we did here, just like we do with equations, whatever we do on one side, we do on the other. Only now I have 2 lines that I have to go over. So whatever I do here in the middle, I have to do on both sides. And my answer is going to look something like this. Because it's an and, it's going to be greater than something and less than something. So the shading is going to be between. Okay. So looking here, I have a plus 2. To get rid of the plus 2, I'm going to subtract 2. But whatever I do in here, I have to do on both sides. So I'm going to subtract 2 over here and subtract 2 over here. It's going to give me negative 25. Keep your symbol Please don't change this to an equal sign. This is not an equal sign. So that's less than 5x, which is less than 15. There we go. Now we're almost done. We still have a 5 with our x. So those are touching by multiplication. To undo multiplication, we need to divide. So we're going to divide both sides, or all three parts, I suppose, by 5. And we will get x here in the middle, which is what we wanted, is greater than, over here we have negative 25 divided by 5 is negative 5. And less than 15 divided by 5 is 3. So this is my answer. All I have to do is graph it now. So I'm going to draw my number line. I need it to go at least from negative 5 to 3. So let's go negative 6, negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Because I do not have the or equal to part, there's no line underneath, I only have these symbols. I'm going to have an open circle. So I'm going to have an open circle at negative 5 and an open circle at 3. X is in the middle, so my shading's in the middle. And it's easy as that. There we go. There's my final answer. We also have compound or, which means it's less than something or it's greater than something. You're going to have two tails that go away from each other when you graph it. These are really easy to solve because really you just look at one of them at a time. So looking at just this equation here, to get x by itself, I need to get rid of this minus 2. So I add 2 to both sides, which gives me 7x is greater than negative 2 plus 2 is 0. These are touching by multiplication. So to undo multiplication, I'm going to divide. And then I'm left with x is greater than 0. On the other side, let's do it in a different color. I want to get this x by itself. I have to move the minus 3 first. Remember, we always take care of that addition or subtraction before we take care of whatever's touching our x, that multiplication and division. So I'm going to add 3 and add 3 to the other side, which gives me 4x is less than or equal to negative 22. Now these are touching by multiplication. So to undo multiplication, I need to divide. Divide by 4, and you can reduce that down to negative 11 over 2, or say x is less than or equal to negative 5.5. Notice that even though the negative 22, or the 22 is negative, we didn't flip the sign because what we divided by was not negative. This is a positive number. So be really careful with that. Only if you divide or multiply both sides by a negative do you need to flip your sign. So this is my answer. With these together, this x is greater than 0 or less than or equal to negative 5.5. So we're going to write or in between here. And now we're ready for our number line. We're going to draw a number line. Ooh, hopefully your lines are better than mine. And we know we need to go from probably at least negative 6 up past 0. So I'm going to go negative 6, negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0. Maybe I'll go 1, 2. Okay. And you can label every line or label every other one, whatever's going to make it easier for you to graph and read what you have when you're done. This one right here, looking at this, it says x is greater than 0 because it's greater than, it's an open circle. So I'm going to have an open circle at 0, and it's greater than, so it's bigger than. This is where the numbers are bigger than 0. Remember, if x is written first, you can go the way the arrow faces. So that's half of our answer. The other half comes from here. We have x is less than or equal to negative 5.5. So because it has the or equal to part, it could be at that point, so we need to include that line underneath. So I'm going to go to, here's negative 5, 5.5 of negative 5.5 would be about right here. Closed circle, because we have that line, we have the or equal to part. And then less than is to the left. And that is my final answer. That's how you solve a compound inequality. That is 1.4. Please let me know if I can help you in any way.